Wisconsinites, during these times, I, like you, cannot ignore the racial divide within this country and within our state. As I stood on the front lines of civil unrest in Milwaukee and Kenosha, real courageous dialogue coupled with bold action must be done if meaningful, systematic change is to take place that values life and that will improve the quality of life for all Wisconsinites. Black Lives Matter does not mean that all lives don't matter, because they do. All lives can't matter until Black lives are a part of the all. If Black lives truly matters, not only must we address the reality of Black on Black crime, but its roots, which stems from the economic disparities, poverty, trauma, drug abuse, and lack of mental health services. Effectively addressing these issues will reduce crime within our communities. We must truly invest in our youth, not just with lip service, but with appropriate action and funding. As your United States Senator, I will work to bridge the racial divide by bringing people together to diagnose and treat the ills within our communities. I humbly ask for your vote and your support. Visit us at williamsworksforwisconsin.com. Hey, first and foremost, let me just say thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about myself with the viewing audience. My name is Dr. Darrell Williams, and I am a candidate for the United States Senate. I was originally born in the cotton fields of Abbeville, Mississippi, a town of about 316 people. And, I used to pick cotton for what was called 2 of 100. That's $2 for every 100 pounds of cotton. So I learned the value of hard work at a very early age. And my mother, she raised 6 kids off of $3.35 an hour. And I tell people all the time, I know the value of a family supporting wage because we never had one. I know the value of having of a union inside of our working on behalf of our families, because we never had one. And so I knew my mother couldn't afford for me to go to school. So I joined the Army when I was 16 years old, went on to serve this country and this state in the Wisconsin National Guard for 29 years and 2 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was humbled to receive the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star Medal for service in combat. I also came here to Wisconsin over 25 years ago to teach. Graduated from Rusk College, a small historically Black college and university. Finished up my master's at Marion College, and then finished my PhD up at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Started off as a teacher, then became a principal. I think they said I was the youngest principal ever in the state of Wisconsin. At a very early age, 24, 25 years old at the time. And so I worked in Milwaukee Public Schools for over 22 years, was humbled to be selected as our National Principal of the Year, and went on to be interim superintendent of schools in Beloit, Wisconsin for 4 years. And then I was appointed as emergency manager for the state of Wisconsin by our very own Governor Evers. For those of you who don't know what emergency management is, it is the lead state agencies that deals with all natural and man-made disasters here within the state. And also it serves as the heartbeat of the COVID-19 response and also civil unrest action here within the state. So I've been on the front lines of these issues, not only in my career as an educator and on the military side, but also at the state level as the lead administrator of emergency management for the state of Wisconsin. And what made me decide to run for this particular position, for me, this is not an Eddie Murphy movie where you just vote on the name you know or the person who has the most money. This is about selecting the right person. A lot of people will talk about Ron Johnson this and Ron Johnson that. Ron Johnson is not the most important person in this race. Every person within the state of Wisconsin is. Every resident, the people of this state are the most important people in this race. And so we have to make sure that we select the best candidate. This is about having someone sitting inside of that seat with some knowledge, skills, and background in the areas that's most critical to us at this point in time, and someone who can work on both sides of the aisle, but also someone who can look beyond the tip of their nose and get the best results for us at the federal level and also at the state level. And there's no other candidate in this race with the type of background and experience that I have. And that's why I felt that I was the best candidate for this position.
Well, so it seems like the media, I mean, at this point, there's you and, of course, Mandela Barnes, and then still 3 other candidates in this Wisconsin U.S. Senate primary, and it seems like you and three of the other candidates have been greatly ignored. Um, what is your take on it?
And you know, this is very, I'm very unfortunate, and I'm very disappointed in that, because what it does is it provides a disservice to every Wisconsinite who deserves to see the face and hear the voices of people who are on the ballot, and who they're being asked to vote for. A few weeks ago, there was a debate from WTMJ4, and that was we had quite a few concerns about that, because when we asked them about being a part of the televised debate, they said that we could not, because we did not have 5,000 individual contributors to our campaign. And so I said, well, where is this in writing? When did this information come out? Because I'd never heard of this before. And come to find out that they had sent four of the other candidates, three of whom who had dropped have dropped out of the race at this point. They informed them of this in May, but did not inform the other four of us until June 21st. And I said, when is the deadline to get this to get 5,000 individual contributors if you didn't have it? And they said June 30th. I said, you mean in less than 9 days? And I said, and plus we had the Democratic convention that was taking place in La Crosse, and which really left even less time. And so I said, how is this fair to the 48% of Wisconsinites who are waiting to see the debate and want to hear from the candidates so that they can make an informed decision? And they said, well, no, well, you have to be 5% in the poll, and you have to have 5,000 individual contributors. And I said again, what about the 48% of Wisconsinites who are still waiting to see the debate so that they can make an informed decision? I said, anybody who's on the ballot, it's not like it's 100 people on the ballot. There was only 8. And I said that's very doable, and so that people can make an informed decision. And I said that it's really a slap in the face of every Wisconsinite who is who we say that we value and respect, and we want them to be informed about all the voters and so forth. I mean, about all the candidates and their views, and the largest venue by which the candidates, by which residents will have an opportunity to see and hear from those candidates to make an informed decision, is being denied to them. Most recently, WISN, they had they had planned a debate for August the 2nd. So 2 days ago, we had a press conference to highlight the concern that we had with them. And they said that you have to have $250,000 of campaign contributions to be a part of the televised debate. And I said to them that I said $250,000 just to be a part of the televised debate. And I said, how is that fair when most of the residents in Wisconsin don't have $250,000? And I said, but everybody, whether you have $1 million or a dime, everybody has a voice, and everybody wants their vote to count. And I said, but how can I say it really undermines the leadership of groups like the NAACP, LULAC, the Souls to the Polls, and other groups who have been fighting for years to make sure that people vote and people are informed, especially in our minority communities. And I said, well, how in the world can we ask people to come to the polls and vote when we're not even providing them with the opportunity to see the faces and hear the voices of the people who are on the ballot? That brings me to where we are right now today. And I said, this is a form of legalized voter suppression. It's no different than some of the efforts that's being taken across this nation to hush the voices and hush people's right and silence people's right to vote. The other side of the coin, if you think about it like this, here we are with 2,000 signatures to get on the ballot. We have gone through the process and have met the state requirements to be on the ballot. So that says that there's voter support and to get on the ballot, and people want to hear and see see your face and hear your perspectives. How is it that these large media companies can circumvent the state requirements and still keep people who are on the ballot, selected by the people, from being on the stage and allowing the people to hear their voices so they can be an informed voter? That's why I say it's a legal form of voter suppression. But more importantly, whether I'm in the race or not, it's a slap in the face to every Wisconsin voter. And it's an insult to their intelligence. And so last night before last, well, 2 days ago, the same day that we did the press conference about 11 o'clock in the morning, and later on the 5 o'clock news, it was announced that that WISN Channel 12, they have canceled the televised debate for August the 2nd. So this is just another way of them, in my opinion, trying to hide the faces and the perspectives of those candidates who are still currently on the ballot, trying to focus their energy and attention just to one candidate. I also spoke with them about the importance of, whenever you're watching TV and they're talking about the U.S. Senate debate, what they'll do is show one or two faces and then some black boxes, which is supposed to represent the rest of us. Never show our face, never show our name, see our name in most parts, just a black dot or a black square to make it seem like the rest of us are irrelevant in this race. Now, just because they may have the right to do it legally, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Because the other side of the coin, again, here you are with people who are still undecided, regardless of all these people jumping on the bandwagon saying, well, I'm endorsing this person or that person endorsed that. That doesn't mean that that's still the right person for the job. You have to look at and do your research and look at the body of experience and knowledge and skills that that person is going to bring to the table. And when you ask the question, I said earlier, I was selected as National Principal of the Year. If I've been in education for 27 years, selected National Principal of the Year, I should be able to tell you some things that I have done to increase student achievement and to help improve the quality of life of people in the education system, especially our children. If I've been in politics for 10 years, or as long as some of these people have, and you have to ask the question, what have they done to improve the quality of life for people in Milwaukee, this state, or in the 53206, the worst zip code in America? These things are important questions to answer, in my opinion. This is why I started this conversation off by saying this is not an Eddie Murphy movie where you just voting off the name, of the person who has the most money. And I think too many people are just jumping on the bandwagon just because they're viewing this as a popularity contest. But whenever you look at the knowledge, skills, and background in these areas, there's not another candidate in this race with the background that I have and the experience that I could bring to this U.S. Senate seat to get the best results for us here within the state of Wisconsin. And
I mean, I'm well aware of the fact that third-party candidates have been greatly ignored by the media, and we're not even talking. You're as a Democrat. There's 3 other people still running as a Democrat who've been completely ignored. So, I mean, the media obviously has this aspect where you have to have all this money to be taken seriously, which seems illegal, if anything, but at least unethical. And now the other question I have, I guess, is 2 things. Is one, there's all these different political action committees that have been involved in endorsing different people and so forth. Have they reached out to you at all throughout this last year of running for office, any of these different large organizations?
No, I haven't had many large organizations to reach out, but I felt it was my responsibility to reach out to them as well, and I have reached out to several. And there's supposed to be some processes that they go through by which they do interviews and so forth to endorse certain candidates, to endorse a candidate. And I've received some interviews, but haven't received any large endorsements, because what I had been told that they were waiting to see who emerged out of the primary. And so those were some of the I've heard that a couple of times. So those are some of the reasons that it was mentioned. But the thing about it is this: the main endorsement that I need is from the people of Wisconsin, and the people who are really serious about having change and doing something different inside of this U.S. Senate, this U.S. Senate seat. I need to vote of people who really value experience, knowledge, and background inside of this U.S. Senate seat. And if education is important, I think everybody can agree that education is one of the most important things that we're dealing with at this point in time. I think we can agree that the war in Russia and Ukraine is of great concern, and how that may impact the safety and security of this nation. I think we realize that climate change, regardless of people's perspective on climate change, and I sat on the governor's task force for climate change, but I think we can all agree that this weather is a little bit something different that we've seen in a long time. While we can't control Mother Nature, we can definitely do a better job preparing for it. I think working with our law enforcement agencies, I think that's a key, especially when you're talking about bridging the racial divide within our urban communities and so forth. And I'm a strong supporter of law enforcement, but I do believe that the trust needs to be restored between law enforcement and our communities, especially in our urban areas. And I sit on in my role as emergency manager, I sat on the police executive group board. So these are issues that are near and dear. I say that to say this: when those type of issues are being discussed at the highest levels of our government in the United States Senate, don't you want someone with 27 years of experience in education, person with 29 years of military service, who has been in 2 wars, who has worked with our NATO allies and so forth, somebody who's been on the front line leading the efforts of with COVID-19 within this state, racial injustice, and so forth? Don't you want that type of person sitting at the table with that type of leadership experience and background, representing the state of Wisconsin and you as a citizen? And there's no other candidate that's in this race with that.
Another question. As far as you talked about the state Democratic Party convention and so forth, I guess how has the state Democratic Party been? Have they been, elevating some of the candidates that were more talked about in the media, and possibly ignoring candidates such as yourself?
Well, this is what I think. I think that at the Democratic convention, you had all the candidates there, and everybody had a chance to speak. Every news station around the state was pretty much there, and I think everybody can agree that there was value in that, because everybody who was there personally and those who were online had the opportunity to see and hear the candidates who they will be voting for. So this is why I say that whenever there's a televised debate, like the one with WTMJ4 and with WISN that they were going to have that has been canceled, why would we limit the candidate pool to just 3 to 4 candidates and deny hundreds of thousands of Wisconsinites from seeing the faces and hearing the perspectives of these candidates who we are saying they're going to be voting for? And so I asked the Democratic Party, I asked the candidates themselves, because I view this as a legal form of voter suppression. Every candidate has said how important the vote is, how we want our Wisconsinites to be informed. And I said to them the same thing that I would tell you now. I said, everybody needs to stand up and stand together as one and say all 8 on the debate stage or nobody participates. Because if you participate in this televised debate, knowing that there are other candidates whose voices are being hushed and voters are being silenced by lack of information, you are really a part of the very voter suppression that you swear that you are against. And so, the people, they still had the debate, and the thing about it is, there was 4 people that were a part of the debate, or 5 people, and 3 of the 5 are no longer in the race. So I said to WISN before they canceled it, at this point, and I think it's even more important now, because people are around, people who voted early. Think about the thousands of people who voted early, and now all of a sudden the candidates have dropped out of the race. And they did it for their own reasons, and there's no knock against them for that. But there are thousands of people now who need to go back and get a ballot and revote. And so now it's important, even more so, that the residents of this state get a chance to see the faces and hear the perspectives of those candidates who are currently still on the ballot. And so what they have been doing is only showing one face to make it appear that there's only one person that they need to vote for in this race, when there are several options that are out there. And currently, I believe I'm the better option, the best option. And when you take a look at, like I said, when you take a look at the background and experience and so forth in those areas that's critical to us, there's not another candidate that, in my opinion, that comes close.
Well, and I just, in closing, I gotta, I'm reminded that in 2018, there was over 20 candidates running for governor, and the media allowed 12 of them on stage. And I mean, just like, when the presidential election, we saw 20 Democrats on stage. And then with the governor's election in 2018, I believe we had over 12 people on stage at several of these events. And, here we are, we're 10 days away from the primary, and you have 5 people still running for the Democratic ticket for U.S. Senate. And it seems like the media and everybody is completely backing one candidate while there's still a primary. So I'm surprised the fact that you and other candidates have been ignored like this. And I guess, where can people check out your website, find out where you stand on the issues?
Well, you can find out more at williamsworksforwisconsin.com. Again, that's www.williamsworksforwisconsin.com. And you can also pick up the phone and call these media companies and say, hey, look, this person is not the only person that's in this race. We want to see equal coverage from about all of these candidates, because you're supposed to be fair and equitable with their time. And I think that would go a very long way, because people need to know whenever they see other names on there, and they don't need to be surprised because of the media's lack of coverage, and by not showing the faces and allowing the perspectives of other candidates who are on the ballot to be heard. And it was, I think, and with the Democratic Party, I think it's unprecedented, but I know that the Democratic Party usually doesn't endorse a candidate until after the primary. We received information that the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has actually endorsed the other candidate. We wasn't informed that was going to be taking place until the time that it happened. At least I was not. And so, I mean, I thought that was very odd. I think it was very unfortunate. And even though I think they went through whatever process that they went through to be able to do that legally, but I still think it undermines the rest of the candidates who are still in this race, and it undermines the intelligence of the Wisconsin voters who were expecting to see and hear the voices of those candidates who they're expected to vote for, and not just say, hey, okay, we can only vote for this one person, and then by totally ignoring the other people who are on the ballot. And it seems like the media is definitely swinging one way when they should be equitable. So that's why I say at the end of the day, the power is really in the hands of the people who are watching, who know that there are other candidates out there, and this is why you need to pick up that phone and say, hey, look, we want equal coverage on for everybody, so that we can see the faces and hear the voices of those people who we're being asked to vote for.
All right, Mr. Williams, thank you very much for your time today.
Hey, thank you.